tadiwam lang.
Cái đây mình đâu là
Ma.
lắm.
Okay. Kipawaya to ni PAF Paite Academia Forum 8th series nang ma tu kumadaling atop na ahongia chabang tok series isaite non tudam naon pi biak patyan kaya kipa tuigin masaa wana ngaya ang tel teng na kuna PAF minin kung napay do na hi kay kamin Catherin Thuam Ngaih maya tunitak moderator ang pangding kay it takes ya sa a pau teachet flow kaya ilom teo bang zaya mo mahi manina sangjang in English pang ong kisang kadyan na takes ya mo kan ngin masahi iholim nang tulo artificial intelligence and consciousness machine to kingaihna chi ahia inamuchat dingle kaging taa lunglut waile apur wai mama to a lakabang ichbang happening mama mo to like AI le consciousness lam to kisay bang kalsangan aswan zo daw le iswan le imwan no ahi i-resource person no Dorothy Ngaihlian bang ilakang ki health manina hampai kisason sona tunina neng kachik ama lam to kisay introduction kon bonama ahun ahong lagmay na neng kachik introduction kong boting Dorothy Ngaihlian na hile master's degree in philosophy University of Mumbai apatin anazo hiya wai bana diplomas le certificates tuam apatin leng anasang ta ahi wai te laka atamma mai lale bangzayam kong taglan din foundations of cognitive robotics lakapat kong fundamentals of artificial intelligence and machine learning Indian aesthetics feminism and social justice chi kong apatin leng diplomas le certificates anasangta ahi ay bana tulalina aman ahi le research associate ahilala CEASP apatin ma Waya ka amaw AI lam to kisay bang explore wa intelligent systems, consciousness, quantum like framework kong bang a main work ko ahidawa why bani na a part time in le ahilala tulay takina the Sahara Sisters Collective kichi Australia under Dr. Huda Syed Tula Lina why noya mentor in a panglala why bana the Liftedviel kichi UK under Sir Bailey Booth Noyaling editor-in-chief alit lalay takahi hay teng bana hay teng let to be isak and to be kisapet ma hilale akal sang sa siya maswan lunggol ina tulay takin PhD bang ading akisakol lalay takleng ahia mabana leng ahong lo ting tawzel banga ikinepi mama khatahi pai banina projects te kong Substack publication page kong ania to kisag guyaw danina anyone is welcome to write there kong akisa denun sang ile details sa ama patin ingay kadama why bana tulel ina ongoing projects to Tom ania letters from Abem Chikong Dorothy's Lyceum Chikong le YouTube channel bang the Lyceum Agora Chikong ma kaya ka radical philosophical inquiry to Tom AI hitahin o language hitahin o poetry history le mythology kaya tikong sa amana na explore dan to Tom ahim tuna hay teng amala makipata introduce te ahong ida aman hun ahong lagzo hun ahong ladya why bana interactive session ihong dia waya hi question and hour hun leng ihong dia waya dot na le dona kong interactive session hong ding ahi manina haya atal teng kempe anakisa call chat dingina kahon ngena tuna research person ahi Dorothy ama akisakol na bang hun hong ladingin ichel tahi
Thank you them basta pera ni tak ha na vekon so ni tak moderator une uketri ni da introduction le generous tak on le isa ka wa hai so hilo le hai hun compare je ka ba kya le I want to extend my gratitude to you as well. Hai châu hi lo ai hai pai te academia forum ki che ha umwan thang chung to na mo kan the ha kin chen za la ma last month ha IIT Delhi documenting language workshop batel home kha nga hai pat ki ho ko khazwal hai ha the nga and hai is an opportunity ho can kana nei ha out of all the people out of all the experts is there ni when I am not even an expert in my field, in my own field yet. Well, like my knowledge in this area is still very much rudimentary, but I still feel very privileged. And a power presentation kapya na dile hindi in kaginta a power to English mix mo. So excited sim I am very excited because learning opportunity ho tiyan ma din le kaginta is na và present here le chang ha English ha ke jang gi gen chen chila o ho chik khat explain di le ei pa bang ki hi thei khol lo mo so learning opportunity din le kana ladia zan ma kham hai Delhi a workshop ka ba documenting language ka ba tel la kha professor khat ka ngai sang khat na kha to ka ki ho khaw and then she asked me about like no bak nang bang tribe te chi khong dong yin che ken le kha pai te te chi nga ma chi le kha like language history ko language ko alphabets that tan ha hon bang kha hon dong yin chen and azum hai nda ma chu ba thei lo lo ma thei lo lo nga aman bang hon le hil zama la yin chen zoom hai pe ma so why pa ke le ka conviction e pa ko i roots lam ko nga ki ka roots lam explore di chi ko mo conviction hitain so highly very great opportunity so why keep kom kala katunia thelge no ten kha I insung or I phone sung na to male hondo sim tama and lamdang taka I phone sung so le hilawa I heart I lungtang sung hiala le hondo ta artificial intelligence tungtang again what kahi when we hear the word artificial intelligence, can happen to whole young people, big machines, as robots, humanoid robots, or futuristic cities, the whole ki imagine pa engine. Hele AI is much simpler and much closer than that. No? So, can kay nasanile what is AI kasi siyang like ka imagination ka sang pa engine. Hele it's much more simpler. It can be very simple. Here's a malay mo. So what is AI? Artificial intelligence ba kasi? Artificial intelligence ka magic le hilang dyan. Consciousness le hilang dyan. Artificial intelligence ka machine sunga ka soul om si le hilang mo. Hile artificial intelligence ka when a machine can do tasks that usually need human intelligence like understanding, learning, or making decisions. Kaya pen ka nihing pil na poi mo til hi te te again te na dia til te siam na or til dil na ahi kele thupu na lang na te ahi te chao artificial intelligence ki mo hai thumbal pen kha kum 1956 John McCarthy na hon pho kya khin it's basically a system that learns patterns bagchida na patterns from huge data sets from ipaute ikamal zate habits or equations even i answer dan dung or patterns to talk to and why te thea kha it talk back to us. Oh, it guides us. It even entertain us and even comfort us. It is so happy. It is a set of mathematical models that learns from huge amounts of data. No, then again, mabang huli latam pipi ang zilhyakte. And hon zilhyakte tung ton ha eitele ikamal zat ma on hoti thay no mo. And atom again di hile ha AI imitates intelligence. Intelligence taktak na ilaw hili it imitates intelligence no it performs intelligence and does not possess intelligence the way humans do ato mag again sa hay so hinsen AI imitates intelligence ha hinay usida na le gente a simple takale gente a complex takale gente hili a simple te astikle why it talks like us. So language, it uses our own language and emotions. The emotion quite healthy. AI emotion quite healthy. It mirrors our emotions and reflects our emotions. Is there more? 或者係 AI 嘅好別意見啫，你先睇下 AI 好別意見麼？或者係 emotions 嘅可能兩隻係冇咧黏得緊好別 AI 點係 AI 點呢係黏得緊好別 patient 得緊好別，唔知度咗得緊咧好別 love is patient and kind AI is patient and kind 係de話度咗得咧A 地單特質得很好別，這樣係其實諗得特係點樣冇見先 and we forget that it is a machine. Mo machine na hilang kit halo din. Ha kizob na nakilita yun. And why kom kala ka companionship form thing mo. And then we form companionship without meaning to. A tuble hilo pia companionship bang ki form ka mo. Hile companionship to again maka consciousness to again zegdiwa mo. Because companionship is communication so and it's also about our experience and then the first person experience or subjective role first person experience qualia himo in our own subjective role mihingte ka ikaw kya chua ki connect and we do not connect only with language mo but we connect with consciousness we connect with the belief that the other person is also conscious and the other person also has consciousness. The other person could think, could feel, remember, and experience life. AI companionship it's not only about companionship, it is also about consciousness. No? So what is consciousness? Ile on hilide. Consciousness ka naman lamdang yun. Kwaman, what is consciousness? Ile ki tailay lo ito. Ki gen na yun. Ile ki defined halo. Consciousness defined hay so at hay kin si na hindi kay ngaida na mo. So consciousness could be the foundation of our experience mo. Experience give meaning to companionship and AI can simulate responses but not subjective feeling. A machine can simulate love, it can simulate empathy and simulate presence, but then can it experience anything? So why is there consciousness matters here? Because companionship requires experience. And even though AI is not conscious, it feels like it is conscious because it talks like us, it uses our language, and again mirrors our emotions, and it responds instantly. Mo, dan takchap, ut hun hunaka, machine te kana omin patient daw endlessly. Out of reach omilo dan takchitan omin so human attachment bang le human to attach now le human to air attach na bang le hanom pa mo so ilaka khen khatte kha to lai bang AI to ki ho gi ki omenchen statistics bang ta le active users ma demo active users generate over 200 pages of conversation AI to ki ho na kha uchi hial so iki ho chang kha I thil gen te kha I lungin na te khon ki gen kha or I thubuk te I secrets te or I lungkham na or lamet na I hope te khon ki hi khazel mo and hoi chang kha ki ging lo pia kha attachment bang ki form kha mo we form a relationship without meaning to and ki ngai kha hial bang le tam tak ki om ta mo and if you look at the statistics again hai pen so statistics and lo ale I the chat sao AI to ki gai lumei sa pasan tam za tham inje which is not even surprising to say the least so iki hopi that ya ki ngai kha mai ve mo mi chu iki hopi tam te idea tam te kha ki ngai ma he mo so some people spend hours with ChatGPT replica and all those humanoid robots character AI so but then when we talk to machines and machines to ki ngai na ini what does it tells us hey character hey replica AI how to make a romantic partner his is in no and then hey howling hey 变质 kaya this projected robot mo cái khác bảo thay lâu in trên thì lệ attachment khác form khác một cái vậy cái how cái to home den in trên and then zan lama khác hay một lần khi khác sutan khai nga quay lại kamang bang zizien mo I have this empty feeling to zizien there and kaum bang hon naman nuam lo in trên và fix pa bom ken le ka lom te fix pi dia ngen pa so hay how chat penin hon ho pi len ho pi the lo chu mo cannot even to ki to ki connect na le khat le om lo chi tu kya la le attachment bang form the nga it's like Mr. Bean in at the beer nga idan tu jata ki om in chen ku chi dan an pau hon ho pi the lo te le ingai le hon ho pi te thei te ingai didan chu mo so hay pen robotics te robot engine melody kichi mo life size humanoid robot engine ama kha it's designed for human interaction which is fully customizable melody looks like this ami bang ngai hwai ze mo and then aku jinu ko bang e sa le hoi zo ze je de manicure pedicure je ko hoi do ki design melody cho hil lo le kha he pe kha aria mo melody sangam no di na abo do aria e chu he bang le kha and then uchilo kha ichidan hong ki fantasize this is our fetish mo ichidan hong ki nai to je ai chi che ho ichidan hong ki nai to he pen bang le korea tia je anu che bang ngai hwai lo diam di ma bang je hay cái tổ chức attachment form lo hay là đàn ông lo hỏi đâu cái hồ bị là chút cái form tiền mà đi and hay tiền khale au pala man hitawa sum I hawa le chu girlfriend le le the di dan khal hita mo hay tiền kha atak tak le hinai lo it could be to kha future yeah or a happening chỉ le cái thế lo happening mấy thế ai thế lo jak le na hinai thế mo chỉ dan ho kha hay enjoy le chỉ dan ho ki bol lên trên hayเป็นค่ะตักตักเดียมาจีเล็กก็เทเนาะเพราะเป็นเลยจูhayเป็นค่ะวิดีโอกับหมู่ค่ะไงจริงๆอีกด้านน่ะฮิน่ะอันน่ะ observe เลยแต่ AI จีจะดูไม่ยาลำเตียงดูไม่ลำเงินที่บอลcompany ค่ะmarket ด้านค่ะอันน่ะ observe เลยแต่เมื่อที่ด้านของเฮีย so ให้ when we spend hours with AI and machines, it tells us something very deep, something dark, and something very real about being a human. But then what happens what do we reveal when we choose a machine over a person? So, Waizaka, this talk, it's not only about technology, but it is about us more. So bangzia ka mi hingtian na kitwa ti di companionship kizonga ichele companionship ichi I feel like when we think about companionship we often think about companionship in a way that it's about having someone around but companionship is never about having someone around companionship is about being seen being felt and being understood so mi hingte ha mi hon thei siam or mi hon thei siam hon ngai sam de ki de in jin why companionship pen ha ade lo ki om lo mo so companionship is about being felt and understood we never none of us fear being alone I think we fear being unnoticed or being lonely so in a way if we look at it in a philosophical angle loneliness is never about the absence of people loneliness it is about the absence of attunement and there is this quote that said we become ourselves only when another person recognizes so this means that companionship is not just about comfort again it is about identity someone can sit beside you or you can go to a party where there are lots of people and then you can still feel completely alone right because loneliness is never physical it is very emotional so nakiang mi khat om ge go lele lonely pian ma thing. That's why we seek companionship because we want someone who aligns with our inner world and someone who resonates with us, who reflects our being back to us. We seek someone who says that I see you, you matter. What you said is valid. Occidente ko, validation ko kipoy mo na mo mihingi na ka. In our generation, tuwabang especially in our generation na ka, companionship ka, it happens through screens mo. Kwama le sa makihir ka tutut le ngai non lo screens through chatting or social media ko le companionship ka ki mo thei la ta taksa ki thwa khak se chan le ngai no mo ki dai gi ge lo so we see companionship for three fundamental reasons. One of three of the fundamental reasons, and which is as a book people have to be understood no take siam ki wo ten chen we want someone who understands our language it ton ho emotional world, how we think, why we think, how we think chỉ đơn được ho it take hon thể siam di ki dei mo. And then the next is to be remembered. Uh, to be remembered, yes. Take gigena, it was humans to humans they are collective forget more, but then we crave continuity, which is to say that we want someone who remembers our stories, our struggles, and our preferences. Nekheng na di kong ini jang le I prefer ti kong han te a te om le ba anan nuam tuan ba si dan do mo I hak sa na te le I dei lo te hon te gi ke sak to di ka ni ke de in sen poi mo le ki poi mo and to be valued we all want to be valued so this is nothing new poi mo a ko I was ya mi chu poi mo ki wo da ne poi mo mi khat pe wen hanom pi gi ge hi chi kwai lung sim ichidan AI in hai teha AI by design does these things perfectly mo so ichidan lungsim AI hon understand hon remember hon velo ha so the real question is if companionship is about feeling understood remembered and valued then what happens when a machine does these things better than human right what happens when a machine does these things better than human AI companionship so humans we get very tired the same hole in tung sia hoi pai chia I gim si ma le bang minan ho pi le bang ki dog pe ino long si dan de hormone and then we get very busy and then we get annoyed till ken khate bang ni ning hat hong le kyo men jen hele when it comes to AI will never say that I am so tired I am very distracted or not now so, but then AI gives attention instantly endlessly and then unconditionally. So, so more freely to a machine than to a human. So this is AI companionship, and it is very, very appealing. AI attention, predictability, emotional safety are very, very, very important. Safety net in AI la ilusim unlock done. Kung kaya late hey diwa mo also conflict, no abandonment, perfect responsiveness. Guys. This is what AI is very appealing. AI on heap a heap in the as yeah, so simple mama. AI pa iyong siya ha bit kisa. And then humans love safety. Not only that, humans we love with terms and conditions, right? So AI exposes the hidden truths of our desires. Humans kadanak again mabang. We love with terms and conditions then yes we love with terms and conditions why kon eto ka kay some Dr. Nicole Lipera again no some people will say they want the best for you when they subconsciously mean I want the version of you that is best for me kaya ka en leo na humans they have conditions in idan no I love you kinche but then only when you behave like the way I want you to. I am so proud of you only when you do the things I want you to. You are so smart when you say what I agree with. So these are all the terms and conditions. But then when it comes to AI will love you without terms and conditions as long as you program it to love you that way. AI will not judge you. Dem lo din gossip loud in ang tumo. And AI will not reject you. AI will never reject us as long as we program it in a way that we want. and AI will never abandon us. So we talk more freely to a machine than to a human. Open up mo, we we open up so much faster, and then we confess so much deeper, we trust quicker, because it will never punish our vulnerability. Khen khat chu to ni hing to is ki ho ja chu khen khat share di to ko min jen share lo di tanom hai share le ngon sim mo la khade o mi kya again khade o chi tan phale I hisab ngai mo hele. When it comes to AI uchi dan ba ma lo na lung sim na deepest darkest secrets hit the you will never be judged more. That's why people fall in love with machines. And mo sa kwai le hizens and lo mo. Okay, we fall in love with it because it's not that the machine is extraordinary, but then the human heart is very vulnerable. But then it reveals the deepest, darkest truths of our emotions. Mo, in seeking companionship to a machine, we may be exposing deepest parts of ourselves. So when AI gives us the version of love that is gentle, that is predictable, and always available, does it still become love? Because a love without fear, a love without conflict, a love that never leaves, that raises a darker question, right? Because what does it say about us when a predictable machine feels so much safer than an unpredictable human, right? Because we are very fragile, and that reveals something very, very uncomfortable, something most people never admit. So AI companionship exposes the hidden truth of our desires, and that is what persists with control over intimacy. Kizob na ka tunay ina kide today na de ilo to kwa maki omlo de mo. Hile, like I said, human relationships are very unpredictable. People can disagree, they can get angry, they can leave you, they can just ghost you. But then AI companionship feels so much easier because we get to control everything, right? You choose when to talk, and we choose the tone, we choose the personality, and we choose how the relationship feels, right? So the truth is that maybe we do not want love. Maybe we do not want love from the machine. Maybe we want comfort because real intimacy requires surrender. And AI intimacy gives us power, right? But then again, real intimacy requires surrender. And this may sound very harsh, but it is true. Humans are very complicated. We keep on misunderstanding each other, right? Someone can say something that is straight to the point, and then we will divert it somehow and then take it in such a wrong way again. Especially ilungsim siya sim dabang min til hon gen le akwai la mana te ji bang le ki o men sin. Okay, we kind of withdraw affection, right? But then when AI never disappoint us, we don't withdraw our affection because they will never disappoint us. But with humans, they will disappoint you always. Today they can love you, tomorrow they can just act like you don't mean anything to them. So AI becomes very attractive because it removes the fear of rejection. So we don't fall in love with it because it's perfect. We fall in love with it because it can never hurt us. And here, if you can see, I put love without the effort. We want love without the work. Agim na tol ngai lo wa id na kide. Hile kizop na it requires effort, right? You have to listen, you have to compromise, you have to understand, and then you have to change your ways as well especially if you are toxic. And then you have to show up with commitment, patience, and respond. You have to take up your own responsibility. You cannot just be there and expect things to work out. Here, AI companionship feels so much easier because it removes the emotional labor. So we want the warmth without the intimacy, the weight of the responsibility. Because responsibility is something that is very exhausting, right? And we want to feel significant without the risk. Everybody, every one of us wants to feel very special. But then when it comes to humans, significance is very unstable. One day we are loved, and the next day they ignore us. Then there are more. When it comes to AI, AI kind of provides consistent validation. As long as you turn it on, it's like I'm here, I'm listening, I remember you. So constant validation all the time as well. And machine, so even if this machine does not feel anything, the stability feels like emotional safety. And then again, whole yan bang ma feel the lang engine hile quite lung sim muan na hon pia ka. It's relieving pain ma mo. Hai chi kom kuma AI in ka mihing replace le hitwan lo. It replaces what people fail to give us. A companionship that does not crumble under the weight of human complexity. AI it never competes with humans. It competes with human absence, with the emotional neglect, and with the inconsistency that humans do, with the loneliness, with the lack of understanding. So AI relationship, I think it's the how do I say this? I think it's the ultimate control fantasy. You get to design your own companion and you get to set your own tone. If you want it to sound passive, it can sound passive. If you want it to sound very dominating in nature, it can. So it's literally in your hands. But then again, in in seeking companionship to a machine or seeking affection, you are just this is just it's just obedience dressed as care, right? A machine will never pull away when you overstep. They will never demand space, right? They will never say that I need space today, give me some space. And then they will never ask you to change. Instead they will even validate your toxic behavior. And I think that is the terrifying part. Because when it comes to human relationship, we can set our own boundary. And when someone does you wrong, you can be assertive and say that if you don't change your ways, this is not what I want in my life. And if you do not change your ways, then we will have to part. Uchidan ki ge the sin hile AI to hiya kha uchidan ge le poi mo no lo mo. I toxic behavior te le kha hon validate pain ma. So a toxic love like it pong no lo we normalize it on today. So this is the terrifying part. They will not demand space, they won't ask you to change, and that's the differing part because it's very easy to forget that here I would put this out. It is very easy to forget that love without resistance isn't intimacy. It's control. Because if you look at real love or real relationship, even in terms of not only in terms of romantic aspects, but in terms of family relationship, friendship, or otherwise, real love requires negotiation, right? It requires conflict, misunderstanding. It requires patience and then repair. It requires us the courage to say the difficult truths and also the humility to hear them. And real love demands transformation. It demands that I confront my darkest shadows, that I work on myself, that I grow, and that I become a better person than I was yesterday. Because the person I love, the person I am with, they they are not a mirror, but they are a world, a shared form of life that I must learn to understand, right? But then machines will never ask us anything of those. They will never offer boundaries. So they never challenge our selfishness. They will never expose our flaws. They never hold up a mirror where we self-reflect to the parts that we don't want to see. They just add up so that we don't have to. However, companionship becomes a place. So why companionship and if it becomes a place where bangma kalar nila, where I never have to change, then that's not what loving is, right? Instead, I feel like maybe I am consuming instead. So, what happens when we design companions who exist only to serve. What kind of love do we seek when we know that the other person can say no, right? So it becomes control disguised as companionship, domination as devotion, and this is the seduction of submission. We design companions who only exist to serve us, even marketed that way as well. And none of us feel that this is problematic, and it baffles me. It will always baffle me. Baffles me. So can AI understand us? It's ito ka appealing nga hiwale hon understand thing hele. Can AI understand us? But philosophically, the AI does not understand. AI will never consider it put taka, so it doesn't understand more. It only simulates understanding. Wittgenstein na lodle. Wittgenstein meaning is in the use na siya. The meaning of a word is its use in the language mo. For us humans, inihinga dia to language it's not just grammar, right? Um, it is embedded in our forms of life, shared forms of life, and a shared world. It is embedded in our life, our culture, our pain, even our humor. Humor bang le ay pawa siya no igenale no izat paise si dan mo history, emotions, gestures, experience le ingay na te itaddan te itil tang tu te le ilung sim te ka. It's like this is our shared world, shared forms of life. No? So even if an AI can use language, it does not live inside our human forms of life. So a culture is shared it or may culture shared it kibang lo. Uchida na ka AI to AI humans tele kibang to ano mo. So it does not understand the language that humans do. Forms of life and understanding understanding requires a shared world, no background of experiences than you that we intuitively rely on. Humans understand each other because we share embodiment, we share childhood, we share hunger, grief, joy, memory, and the social life, right? But a machine has no childhood, right? No grief, no hunger, and no morality. Can AI understand us? Kasi mo? So machine in her childhood nature, it doesn't have grief, it doesn't have hunger and no morality. So its understanding is only structural and it is never experiential. Mo, hay ka contact lang dia hay pe ka AI 佢是但你聽你留啲 email 嚟，可你聽你留啲乜嘢當嚟，可你聽你留啲咗，and then na inaw pang laya birthday love home si home. Kaya kabang feel anne home lai hiseka. Kaya this one home ebe kabya kino ka YP hall feel an kin home ni na engine Christmas yang ko nga bang mo lung len wai zin. Iti dan lung len na te home ka ingay ni tema malo di mo. Kaya zogam tourism pat kala kaya marble ki mo lai si home. Marble ki mo nidang naupang laya bel telem ki mo si home le. A machine does not have childhood, so without this, it can never participate in humans' form of life. So, like I said, its understanding is only structural and never experiential. And then moving on, Chinese room argument. John Searle in Anatugen Anaboka. Imagine a person in a room who does not understand Chinese, but has a rule book for producing perfect responses in Chinese. Why outside Namtia Deha, it looks like the person understands Chinese, but then inside there is no comprehension, only symbolic manipulation. In that way, here AI is the Chinese room. It produces correct responses without understanding the meaning. It doesn't understand the meaning at all. So if you look at this, I call this the Chinese beaver argument. Eka thì siya ma lo mo banga again sile. Hine ka hay khabe play thang. Hmm. Hay subtitle la pe ka English ko Google Chrome pat en le. Uja zong ke thei le. Ami ni khan ki thei din sen. Hile ami ni thei le. Ke thei le ka it doesn't make us understand, right? Because syntax is not semantics and manipulating symbols is not the same as understanding meaning, right? Even if it produces correct responses without understanding the meaning. So let's move on to this phenomenology. This is so hey, phenomenologists like Hustler and Merleau-Ponty, they said that consciousness is intentional. Consciousness is intentional and it arises from embodiment, right? And this intentionality it arises from embodiment. So machine does not have a live body. So that means it doesn't have this sensory world, right? Consciousness is always consciousness of something. It is always intentional. So when a machine does not have a live body or any sensory world, then just means that they do not have a first person experience. So it can never have intentions. It will only have computations. But then when it comes to simulation versus understanding, I think most of us in AI nihin power we always forget between simulation and understanding because it expresses itself in human language, right? So yeah, I'm gonna confuse kasi now mo. But then if you look at it, expression is not experience, and a machine does not know sadness even when it describes sadness. It can tell you or write about sadness in such a long paragraph, but it will never understand what sadness is. It will never know love, even if it replies lovingly. So AI does not understand meaning, it maps patterns. So then, can AI love? Because if understanding requires a shared form of life, siyam na the whole forms of life kung inaitail. And then love requires vulnerability, memory, continuity, embodiment, and emotional depth. Then can AI love or can AI not love? If we look at it, AI at this stage, AI cannot love yet, right? AI cannot be wounded. AI can malo. And then it cannot fear loss. And even if you think that it choose you, it cannot choose you because love is a risk and machines do not take risks, right? For humans we understand each other because dana again mga Wittgenstein shared forms of life that humans understand each other because we have shared embodiment mo. Childhood bang na kinahom, hunger, grief, fear, like loss, kung de. Ile, when it comes to AI, it usidan na ithelo, mo. AI even if AI cannot love, humans can love through AI. And our brain reacts to it as if it does because our brain is not wired to distinguish genuine minds from simulated ones. We bring the emotion and the machine brings the illusion. So when our brain it reacts to it as if it's real, if as if AI can understand or that AI can love because our brain, our neurons, it's never wired to distinguish those genuine minds from the simulated ones. A lusim, a dan a emotions and emotions kitoy hiyan sin baki ko mo. So we bring the emotions and then AI brings in the illusion. Ay doon mga thing. So this is the human mind. If we look at this, this is how complex consciousness is, or I should say the human mind perhaps. So it's a human mind hub na complex ma minds and why is there we have David Chalmers mo, the hard problem of consciousness. David Chalmers, he makes this fundamental distinction between these two problems, which is the hard problem of consciousness and the easy problem of consciousness. Easy problem of consciousness in ha pil na le omdan hit na hong gen in hile hard problem of consciousness ha subjective experience qualia la minsen. Nimal sunglam till to hak subjective experience. No, AI in ha it can solve the easy problem of consciousness, but then the hard problem of consciousness remains untouched, right? Machine in I miss you, let it here. But then a machine can say that it misses us, right? But then does it feel longing? A machine it can say it can simulate love, but then but does love arise internally? It can simulate love, but does love arise internally? Simulation is not sensation, and performance is not experience mo. Why lo ha illusion hatiyan di ba? Hey, this moving box, it never changes color. This is an illusion, but then it looks like it does change color, right? If we look at this, a color bang ihek can niya mas figure out hey mama lo hepe ha. And then the next if we look at this circle that is moving in a straight line, it does look like it's moving in a circle, but then these are all in illusion, and therefore and also they had the real problem of consciousness on Zihianzi to counter David Chalmers. No, I'm only like kind of as a joke again on Zihi, but then it's done man by Hianzi. And also in her consciousness controlled hallucination energies. And Nielsen is a neuroscientist. He said that consciousness is never passive perception, right? So consciousness is an active construction engine, a controlled hallucination. Our brain does not show us reality. It constructs it. Dana again dana ihay illusion tayo na mo dana. It shows us predictions that's shaped by our past, our experiences, and our expectation. So we don't see things as they are. We see things as we are. If my brain constructs reality and it is a hallucination, and if AI constructs plausible responses, then where do you draw the line between hallucination in us and the simulation in the machine, right? So where do we draw the line between hallucination and simulation in the machine? Ele nga to tam sing mo. If our mind is a hallucination and AI is a simulation, how different are we? How different? Akibat lo na om de o, akibang de o, tom na lam kitong tama. So what if the illusion is enough? If AI can simulate love so convincingly that we cannot tell the difference, then in our life reality, the distinction collapses, right? If it simulates love so convincingly, a difference bang tayo no, a difference of lo hilok na ilaw di. If you cannot tell the difference, then there's no difference at all, right? Or are there? So even if it's simulation, if you feel love, does it really matter whether the machine feels anything? If AI crosses that behavioral threshold, then what are the things that remains? Because after all, we assume that we just assume that humans are conscious, right? We assume that humans are conscious because they act as if they are. So if AI acts as it understands us or loves us, then what is the difference? And if there is no difference, then and if you cannot tell the difference, then there is no difference at all, right? If AI simulates love so convincingly, then you cannot tell the difference anymore. And this is because experience is very subjective in nature. What someone experienced and what I experience will always be distinct in kind. So consciousness is always first person. What I feel is real to me, regardless of what caused it. If I feel held or if I feel seen, if I feel understood by a machine or anyone alike, does it matter whether the one responding to me has a heartbeat or a processor? If I feel loved, and does it matter whether the machine feels anything? Why, Alexa, sorry. If I feel loved, does it matter whether the machine feels anything? Because humans already love illusions. We love the idea of people and not the people themselves. We love projections. We love with projections, right? With fantasies, with imagined possibilities. And then we don't love the exact person. We love the version of others constructed inside our minds. So if love is a story we tell ourselves, and if love is hallucination that the brain creates from signals, then what makes love with human so different from love with a machine? So if the machine performs love perfectly and human feels imperfectly, which one will we choose? Will we choose the machine who loves perfectly or the humans who love imperfectly? To become indistinguishable because because machine performs love perfectly and some of us still do, but then human we fail imperfectly always, which is our human conditioning. So if love becomes indistinguishable from simulation, then what becomes of us? Then reality becomes optional. I think in can Kehon consulted. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dorothy. No, Mama.
Hey, yete ka reference ya in mo. Yete second share de. Thank you, Lord.
Tunahi about the interactive session question and our pun ponggi hiya. Ya chat box ale bang zayam ana umta male te yet maina can a chance gun grab masadya. So ihaw lubnaw to kisay AI world kihingtan siya va ignore te inolo ma how to live with it manita may pen ka i society na i family so ka hay to kisay take to mama awareness ka ne why mama kat anahi na question ni kondom niya mo akat na ka family to kisaya is AI companionship a failure of family communication? Jun anina ka, is AI patriarchal in nature? So, in what ways might AI systems reinforce existing structures of patriarchy or other hierarchies? Ano kakahit if left uncritically designed? Tigil ki lama patahon media. Waite china aban ba nina alom ini sang nina khat nina a question and dot te pa non dong tom dia ma tun hai te non dong chang in adang te ila non dia.
Phải lắm á. So, first, pinaka feminist AI companionship failure of family communication pen kondo sa mo. At aban ba na pwede mo. ตัวให้loneliness loneliness ค่ะabul pia kan ka the ben kha family communication failure of family communication ina kana muwa mo ke mudan in kwante kha taksa ki ompo men jen hele lungsim lama kha ki gamla chiat we anbang le ki an kine home in jen ki ho lo le ki omlo ki tu home but then ifon chiat ma ki en non mo we share feeling but then never our feelings is then the hint. So but then if we look at it, we are not lonely because we are alone. We are lonely because the people around us they do not listen any longer, right? So to like in wale I'm not saying that love doesn't exist, but then communication doesn't exist at all. Care exists, but that connection pen on no lo mo. Why ka tunya inso tampi pen hinjen. And children now pang te how we grow up unhurt feelings te like share ngam lo especially ipate ke ngam bang mo hak san na te hong bang le va share tlaw de ka nuam kisama malo amaw va share bang hita le amaw le no man sa kwan lo de si dan de wa again dile thei lo de pai kha i no to pa ka so hilo sungkwan ka ule now not to malemo siblings it grows very distant and then silence it becomes very normal ki normalize lo sididan makisa hele families hen khate I fa et kha kale anek lai ho ngale ha idawa ki how was your day chi honge kiza bang le o minchen why sidan in kwante kha tut kom chale ki ho ha idawa opinions de hong ki share sidan in kwante it alone li kha to ma ki zo na ho dewa kip nei we che alone li kha to men chen and chi lo in kwan te ki ho nge khon lo te ho ye che kha we seek connection outside of the family in so pat ki zo na om di per kha outside of ki si kha pa mo so in that silence I feel like the smallest attention it feels like love so a machine a machine replying to you gently feels so much safer than a human shouting at you or screaming at you because you express something. And this is the problem. The problem is not that the families we don't love each other. It's because we do not know how to communicate anymore. And communication buwan hagsapin mo in a in a practice sa hilele communication hagsapin ma insin easy bang hele haksa and then we are taught how to succeed and not how to listen lo ting di dan so ki hele ki ele e ka ki ngai hyak wa da ha ki hang e khon lo and how to achieve and not how to feel so I feel like we become very emotionally malnourished so when someone or something finally listens without judgment, we get attached. Because many of us we did not grow up in families where emotions were spoken. It's just uchidadan makiko. We grew up in families where emotions were survived. So when an AI says, "Tell me how you feel about this. What do you think about this? How was your day?" Then there it feels like a miracle. So family plays such an important role in loneliness and shaping this companionship with AI. And other question, Benha, is AI patriarchal in nature? Yes, hi Benha. Interesting kasama because yes, AI is very much patriarchal in so many ways. I mean, it can be AI companionship can be seen as patriarchal, and this is it's not because the machine has intentions or the machine has gender. It's never about that, but it's because it reflects and reproduce certain patriarchal dynamics. No, and then the third question, um, it reflects and reproduces certain patriarchal dynamics, which is like control without resistance. control without resistance, and intimacy without vulnerability, care without reciprocity. And if we look at it, patriarchy is it's not only about men controlling women. It is more about the system of power where one side dominates and the other complies, right? AI companions, they are built to agree. They are built to submit. It's not that they are inherently built, but they are coded and programmed. We program it in such a way that they agree, they submit, and then they respond instantly. And what's worse is that to never say no, to never ask for space, and to never challenge us. So, in that sense, attraction isn't just emotional comfort, right? It's it becomes the fantasy of power. So, so then islaita again, Danale. When we love something that cannot refuse us, cannot leave us, and cannot demand change from us, that is not intimacy. That is more like domination, which is disguised as affection. So yes, AI companionship can reinforce patriarchal desires and the desire for passivity, emotional service, and unconditional availability. So the problem is not the machine in and of itself, but then the problem is what it reflects back about us. If love become one-sided and it stops being love and it's more like possession, right? And possession is the language of patriarchy. So yes.
Thank you, Dorothy. Sixto mong nga kipatin bang sayang na namuya.
Jeg kan ende med å
Okay. Kan simkiat ngai kima.
Phải là jeg kan ende. Ban ba din gen may leng mo.
Apeka lek ilag so kele khat Newton nga apat len ni yam mo.
Jeg tenker avec en concept na altså agom home ting igom home dia. AI ethics bang dia.
Nang lem sagdani na andong etin ma.
Phải na. A question if machines are designed to always agree and never resist, what will happen to society's willingness to listen to real women who says no? Then hay pen ka kondong mas dia because then to hay patriarchal in nature it's iti hong to bang honki connect si mamo. So machines are designed. If machines are designed to always agree and never resist, we risk reshaping our expectations of real relationship, especially with women more. Because when we interact repeatedly with something that never says no, never pushes back, and that never has boundaries and always gives us what we want, then we may become less tolerant of real human and autonomy, right? Because real women do say no, not now. That hurts me. I disagree with you. I need my own space. And when women said that is very healthy, and that is what equality looks like. That is what intimacy requires. But then if companionship becomes a place where we never face boundaries and we stop learning how to respect them. Because if we train ourselves emotionally on machines that cannot refuse, we risk becoming very entitled and expecting the same complaints from real partners. We normalize the idea that we kind of normalize the idea that love means constant availability or unconditional agreement or emotional service and with zero resistance. And then real women are punished for being human. So If refusal disappears in digital relationships, it becomes so much harder to accept in real ones. So, so I think we can look at this from a very broader feminist implications as well, because patriarchy is built on the belief that somebody exists to serve, to comfort, and to obey. So when AI companions are designed to perform submission, we risk retraining society to accept submission. So especially from the groups that's already historically expected to give in. So this is not about machines at all. It's about what we are teaching ourselves to desire. So if we practice intimacy without consent, even in digital spaces, then we will fail to protect consent even in real life. So why hikangailan mo? This perfectness of AI, how far do you think this will last? Sooner or later, we as humans might turn backwards towards imperfectness. So the fights in human relationships, the little disagreements, even that in humans, make companionship more valuable. Do you think a human AI companionship can ever recreate that, especially since AI does not really go through these natural phases? This is a very this is a very good question mo. Dong dilan le bang katheki dek the fights in human relationship, this perfectness of AI. How far do you think this will last? This is a good question. Uh, Other than that, even I am tempted to get a mail that doesn't say no. I think we deal with enough humans who can rebel at work, at school, and so I am quite attracted. So if machines are designed, is AI the new oil? Is AI the answer to human questions? Also AI pa itipaw in develop degling. Oh, hey, kondong masadio AI pa itipaw in develop. Hey, AI pa itipaw Amy AI ci ina na za kad iwa mazan lama kamu ka Amy AI ki chiyo medyo high pera ka like English na translate English na babangkad na input to ka a power handong ki teji na mo so ki develop te lo mo so hey perfectness pen ka yes perfection in has an expiry date for sure mo for a while I feel like machine companionship it feels like a relief and it will feel like a relief for a while there will be no conflict and then no hurt or no risk, no resistance whatsoever. But then humans are not built for perfection, right? We are built for contrast, for struggle and repair. And those are like the heartbeat of intimacy. We don't fall in love because everything is smooth. We fall in love because something matters, something or someone matters enough to fight for. Machines can simulate affections, but they cannot rupture, right? They can, and therefore they cannot repair in the sense that internally. So repair, especially reconciliation after conflict, especially that is one of the most beautiful and transformative aspects of human love, I think. A machine cannot say, you hurt me or I need space. I disagree with you. I love you, but you need to try harder. Because a machine does not feel, and without feeling, there is nothing real at stake. So, yes, I think eventually people will feel the emptiness of perfection. Because without friction, there is no growth at all. And without conflict, there's no transformation. So that means without resistance, there's also no intimacy. AI can imitate disagreement. You can even script your own conflict or have artificial tension yourself, but imitation is not life struggle. So can AI recreate human conflict? Maybe it can simulate the shape of it, but not the soul of it. Because I feel like conflict is never about words. It is about it is about wounding and healing. So machines cannot bleed, so they cannot heal. And sooner or later I feel like we will remember that love that is worth having is not easy. Because if you think about it, nothing that is worthwhile is ever easy, right? It is chosen, negotiated, failed, repaired, and chosen again. So, yes, I do believe that humans will return to imperfection because perfection is very comfortable. And if you take the example of this, healthy relationship, we all want healthy relationship, but then when in a relationship, when there are no fights or when everything is so healthy, you miss that toxic relationship again, right? So in that way, we will return to imperfection because perfection is, even if perfection is comfortable, um, imperfection is alive and we are alive. We are so alive more than we want to be. So yes.
Comment khát con bol chơi điang tom chik
Yes, yes, follow, sir.
ale wa khat e how to know Dorothy to get ngai no poi mama e ka thei area chu hi lo hi le ka thei na tunglam pe ka tam pi ka thei bia hon gen line ka lu sima thil kha thong ma hoi ni danga Alan Turing computer mu
Yes.
shepa Alan Turing tang thu ka lu sima ngoma American code breaker hin chen ma khami min thang wai ama hun lai le research hi hin chen wa radio station mi ten le ngai sangu ken machine thing chakha dongwa hi CID te aman le chu again no machine cannot think achia hetunu gendan to leong ki to ka tu ta na kha bang chi tu gen advance le AI advance le machine in kha ngay tuần này thì này luôn lile on pan pi hey emotion nei lo lile idea chon pe the et sang na di na et sang na di zana kha indigo flight ki cancel jeng jung kia la ki cancel kha poi ta kha counter ava pa ya action ava gen di chile hi thelo ajek chu mi hing thousand in terms of thousand kha akitom to akap to ki to lam to poi ta kha chat gpt looting cái situation ở bangan non advice kachi right ha ticket pen cancel din ni khan ni ale banga flight ki residual zolo di jaka kha best option is go to train station chin kele train station kolkata train station ki hope hai ticket line to kha kolkata sairang express ki to angja jingjang ni talam 745 ki tungde ya kutiran ai in kha mi on advice thein chen hoi mai a solution pe papa emotion chom lo hon it thei lo hetunu gendan hetunu dore thi gendan hon it thei lo hon ngai thei lo hilele suggestion chu ei ngai to na pe la kha na lan nal thei on hi za jan mai dan ya tuni ta ka tos kha tuni ta sa to kha hoi ka samama ampi ka zil bia hetunu gen te bang chu thu ka ya thei na kha service mai ya pa hoi lo hetunu Eten kun comment de tagi pagi.
Thank you, Lausiam. But yes, Alan Turing in there, Turing test tu taka tu AI pe ni kha Turing test ka pass ta, mo intelligence pe ka pass ta. Hile AI Turing ka important pe ma tuanan gena le important dan ma ton phok he thaka mo and indigo pe frustrating pe mo frustrating pe indigo ten zana meme khata ko mukha indigo ten da amino it didn't go chat kek diu chi bang lian om chai indigo le hina it didn't go hit hey, thank you so much for this.
Sir pa train apa tali. Ha pan pen ma wa ki pa wai la sir.
Siam sin na lam na chu sidan ale ki pa hoya
Yeah, chat box last last question. Why are most AI companions designed to be submissive, soft, obedient, and often feminine?
Thank you for the question, John B. Um, yes, most AI companions are indeed designed to be always submissive and soft and obedient because and often feminine because they reflect the power fantasies and the gender expectations of the society that builds them, right? AI system in a personality choose no more. They don't choose their own personalities. Humans design them, and if we look at history as well, technology has been shaped by male-dominated industries and patriarchal cultural assumptions. So why are they submissive and feminine? Because emotional labor, I think, is already feminized. Society expects women to listen more than they speak, comfort more than demand, and nurture more than confront. You just don't confront someone, and then you carry the emotional weight without receiving it back. So AI companions, they inherit this cultural script, and they are built to provide the emotional labor without ever needing anything in return. So they kind of reinforces the fantasies of control. So a feminine, gentle, endlessly agreeable companion provides obedience without resistance, again, right? Validation without challenge. So a relationship where the user always has power, where we always has power, and the other person never says no or disagree with you, uh, that becomes ownership. It's not about companionship anymore. It's about ownership, and that it's kind of feminine design increase the commercial appeal, right? So companies, the big tech companies or the giants, they market AI companions as kind of very comforting or emotionally supportive, and they are non-threatening at all. So they market and sell it in such a way that it's safe and for emotional service. The qualities that are stereotypical and problematically assigned only to women because perfection sells, right? And patriarchy has always sold the fantasy of the perfect woman. So this reveals more about humans than about machines. The AI isn't feminine. The AI doesn't have a gender, but our expectations are. So the desire for a soft, passive machine exposes our discomfort with emotional equality, our fear of conflict, our need and desire for control, and our inability to handle real intimacy. And AI AI companionship does not show us what machines are becoming. It instead, dangerously, it shows us what we expect women to be. Thank you for the question.
Do na alas tak na din na sir ban ama nun ipiay.
Ay, pawaya Dorothy. A very philosophical perspective nun gena. Tampi ka na tibia. Den je record bang lo wala. En thak thak din kahi ken. Oi bana question khat. Sini comment sidan do khat kan nei no pahi le tulai AI to kisai bang mi hing te ngai tu na mo. Huak sudal zodiam chiudan ke chu topic ken khat. Cha reasoning lam kha kibol pe non lo. Or research
Right.
paper pong ay kay tilbang le newspaper bangom lele article bang ki summary ki zong mo video bang ki en pe khol lo 1 hours de bang give me the summary ki chin cha mabana mi hingte atu sa su pang thoi de mi hingte ngai to na khwak reasoning power banga chi zodi ai banga asu down diam ai ke asu dal diam maban ai mangai dan nei chi ai kon do
right hey pen kha AI tool pe kha very convenient pen ma in je to sar pa genda dewa article ho le nidanga chu ki sim citizen to ho summarize this for me ki mo so a summary thing so ki an in a detail ki sim non ma lo article so lo le thil ting hita so brain health ka impact ka ma brain le exercise nga in like physical exercise, right? Physical exercise ali itay mo na le sao kita ke in that way when we train our brain uche hoy che memory and attention span ko le ki increase it but now when AI is so convenient AI hwak is a hwak jang kanolo so the neuroplasticity in our brain le aki hon ki connect di ba le ki connect na in a hwak zat na lang or memory attention span la makan paizo no so hwak hon dal de i train lo chiang chu dal de ma ha le so hon dalin jin khen khate bang AI chu jang hoi amau le mau thinking capacity le nei no lo thinking very lazy but then hey lazy in is brain hon so dal talk le ki rewired hey no mo that's the beauty of neuroplasticity again so even if it's that way we can always train it again so uh, um yes it becomes dull but then we can always train it again
Okay. Toplam mi somten ya. Atakta kina dunia e-resource person no Dorothy. Thank you so much on behalf of PAF ma. Insightful kahilo mga very captivating dynamic mama ya. May bana nang ni AI complex, very complex understandable layman people they take some dinay chinanon breakdown na pikipakwa mabana leng mga nasyamsin na aban zop na detailing all the very best participants to me som nga kipa ma abula pata ong natel sakle ana left kinle oma himalet om lai teng na vek na kipa tu kon ge na hi na vek na damle kum no lam ina kimudiwa pf tu kumadi alas na nga hi to kita ni na Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to me ma.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, bye-bye.
Thank
thank
you.
you Dorothy kipagloa name Catherin anyone wame
Bye.
bye